Many symbols and ideas and motifs that appear to have some kind of religion or religious or philosophical overtone.
We're not a religion. We're not a substitute for religion. We support religion. We expect people to have a religion. You can't come in if you're an atheist or an agnostic. You must have a belief. But it is not our job to tell people what their religion should be.
It's important to recognize this religious dimension and not to deny it. And it is a problem for deeply committed Orthodox Christians.
And for many outsiders, this is a problem.
Masonry is certainly a religion, and it has every aspect. It's certainly much more ornate than most Protestant churches. It's a religion of secularism, essentially.
As a Christian, I do believe in the one universal creative force. The Masons call it the great architect of the universe. It's the universal mass mind, which pretty well qualifies as God.
But is this supreme architect the God of the Bible or someone else?
I maintain that you cannot be an informed Mason and a Christian at the same time without being in some kind of rebellion against God.
It's a conflict between Jesus, Christ, and Satan.
This fanciful claim is supposedly proven by Masonic references to pagan Egypt. Connections to the alleged heresies of the Templar Knights, and their use of strange symbols, including the star or pentagram, to some a satanic icon.
The Catholics and now the Protestants, the fundamentalist evangelical Protestant groups, people like Pat Robertson, are fitting the Freemasons, or at least the leadership of the Freemasons, into a conspiracy to impose a new world order.
Is all the talk of harmless rituals and wholesome values just a smokescreen for something darker? Some point to moments in history where the Masons have been accused of monstrous acts. And one of them involves the most notorious mass murderer of them all. Is history made in secret? The pyramids, Solomon's Temple, the Templar Knights. Is there a link between these and other historical landmarks forged by the Freemasons? Are they more than builders? Are they the architects of an ancient conspiracy to control the world? At first glance, they appear innocuous, a social club that encourages brotherhood, community, and personal improvement. But is this a facade for something more sinister? Time and again, shocking murders have been blamed on the Masons, and some say they are warnings to those who challenge the power. Or betray their secrets. Some even link a Masonic conspiracy to the most notorious murderer of all time.
I suppose one of the areas where we have and continue from time to time to be brought into conspiracy theory is the Jack the Ripper saga.
In 1888, 5 women were knifed to death in the streets of London. Their throats slit, bodies mutilated, internal organs removed. And though these deaths took place in London, the assassin was never identified. For a few conspiracy theorists, the methods of Jack the Ripper point to the Masons.
At 1:44 a.m. on the 30th of September 1888, the body of Catherine Eddowes was found in a corner of Mitre Square. The mutilations to her face and to her body were fairly extreme. People have since linked on to a possible Masonic connection to this. Firstly, 2 inverted V's were cut onto her cheeks. Some people have claimed if you put those 2 V's together, you would actually get an M denoting a Mason. Secondly, half her apron was removed, and obviously the link to aprons and Masons is obvious. Thirdly, the name Mitre Square, well, people are saying obviously the mitre and the square both being Masonic symbols.
And according to the conspiracy theory, when the police entered the picture, the Masonic connection only deepened.
At 2:55, just an hour and 10 minutes after the murder of Catherine Eddowes in Mitre Square, PC Alfred Long was walking up Goulston Street. He found half a white apron. Jack had cut it away from the body and used it to wipe his knife clean and wipe his hands whilst running away from the murder scene. But it was what was found next to the apron that's since become the stuff of legend.
There was an inscription apparently left on the wall, and it was something to the effect that it was the Jewes, J-U-W-E-S, that did it. In the American Masonic rituals, there is in one part of one of the ceremonies reference to a group of 3 people who were titled Jubilo, Jubilar, Jubilum.
These 3 so-called Jews were the men who wanted to force the secrets of a master Mason from Hiram Abiff. What's more, when the inscription was discovered, it was promptly destroyed on the orders of a Freemason.
The key thing which was supposed to be it, and it's where the one Freemason who was involved, the Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police.
The charge is that Police Commissioner Charles Warren, himself a Mason, had the inscription removed to cover up evidence of a Masonic involvement. But why would a Mason go on such a killing spree?
There are a number of writers who have claimed that this was a Masonic conspiracy for a number of different reasons, but generally a conspiracy to preserve the status quo.
That status quo was the position of Prince Albert Edward, grandson of Queen Victoria. Allegedly, he had an affair with a prostitute named Annie Crook, who became pregnant. 4 of her fellow streetwalkers knew of this, so all 5 women were murdered to keep the pregnancy secret. And the man who supposedly did it, Dr. William Gall, was the Queen's private physician. He was also a Freemason. Did a royalty-connected Mason surface into the public spotlight just long enough to protect a friendly prince? Is this how they operate, and why they've endured for so long? Freemason legends portray the craft as quietly existing for thousands of years. But modern speculative Freemasonry came into being at a very particular time and place. A critical period in history that saw the fall of kings and the rise of what some fear is a new world order. How did the modern fraternity of Freemasons begin? And why do they keep secrets from the outside world?
I'm Jim Mars, and I am not a Mason. Although Freemasonry is outwardly a very benign and philanthropic organization, there are dark sides to it.
My name is Stephen Tsoukalis, and I'm not a Mason.
If it were a secret society, many of us would not know about it. It's not a secret society in that sense, but it is a society with secrets.
The modern Masonic movement is usually recognized as having started in 18th century England.
The Grand Lodge of England was founded in 1717 in London.
Near St. Paul's Cathedral, a group of gentlemen convene at a pub called the Goose and Gridiron and formally pledge their allegiance to a club they call the Freemasons. While the original operative Freemasons were the stonecutters of the Middle Ages, this new Masonic order is made up of merchants and aristocrats who indulge in secret passwords and costume dramas. They call themselves speculative Masons, who discuss progressive ideas and speculate on the meaning of life.